Welcome back, all my RC fans. So, I've been doing this for quite some time, and I have done tons and tons of unboxings and new stuff, and as time goes by, I've just been kind of really enjoying building. And just making new stuff that nobody's maybe seen before, or just something interesting. So as you can see, I have a problem. And this is just one small storage area. This is just my outside garage. And I have an RC room in the house, and there's stuff hidden in the attic. It's everywhere. Look, there's a 1/6 scale tank hidden down there, for goodness sake. But, so, I want to do two big projects this summer. If I get them done, I'll move on to something else. But one of them is this mega yacht. This is a 43-inch yacht. It is absolutely massive. Here, I'll give you an idea. There's my hand. But that is not the project we're working on today, but that's one of two that I want to do this summer. The other one is, alright, pan down. You see this mess of ridge rocks? We got 3 of them sitting here. This one was my original. This is one I picked up off of eBay for parts. And that's a brand new one in the box. And then we got a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle van sitting over there. So Cross makes this really awesome thing called a T-Rex. It's a 10x10, and it looks like something straight out of the apocalypse. And I think I should probably own one, but I'm not paying $5,000. I don't have $5,000 to pay. My idea is I'm going to take these 3 ridge rocks and make one 10x10. I'll have a spare axle left over for another project. I love working on these things. And I'm thinking that these big aluminum rails here are going to end up being my chassis. And this is quite possibly going to become the cab. If you've seen the T-Rex, you know that's kind of similar in design. Now, the first thing I need to do is disassemble all these ridge rocks. I mean, this one I haven't even taken out of the package yet. So I guess my dad still runs his all the time. I'll have plenty of spare electronics for him by the end of this. But I'm going to take these apart, start getting stuff laid out, and we'll just start the build. We are apart, and yeah, this thing's going to be absolutely massive. Now, I was missing the tires from the one, so I had to just kind of throw some 1/9s on here real quick to kind of just help with spacing. But I have a full set of Ridge Rock bead locks, so I just need to find the tires to go on them. I can't figure out what I did with my Ridge Runner tires. I have to just throw those on there. I'm going to check with my dad. He might have a set of the stock tires laying around. Now, they'll probably just start off with those for now to keep budget friendly. But yeah, look at this monstrosity. And we got an axle left over there. And it looks like I want my frame to be right about even with the back tires, and in just a little bit on the front tires, so when I approach something, those front wheels can grab, because this thing's going to be a monstrosity. I don't need to be hindering its approach angle. So I'm thinking we are going to go right around 33, 34 inches, somewhere right around in there on this chassis, and then we'll go from there. I'm going to cut the pieces and get my width. I just have to measure the old chassis and see how far across they are. I have them all in a box down here. And then I'll start getting that assembled. So after I cut both of my rails, I clamped them together and filed the ends so they would be as close to each other as absolutely possible. And now what I'll do is I will take pieces of my scrap that I have left over and measure the width of my chassis, and I'll cut those to the same width. And we'll put them through on the ends, drill and pop rivet. And I'll do that on both the end caps to form the rough structure. Then I can lay it over all the mess of wheels and kind of get a better idea of where I need to start placing things and what I need to extend wear for links and shocks and whatnot. Well, here's where we are at the moment. This is the frame I've built so far. And I want to get the front section attached first, and then I'll add to the back. But it was all pop riveting and clamping. I added these 2 nice thick pieces here. And I'll have to end up doing some cross bracing in between for strength throughout the entire vehicle, because it being aluminum rails, which saves on weight, still is a little bit more flimsy than steel, so I'm going to have to add some extra supporting. But I'm just going to measure off the chassis and see where the spacing was for the links, uppers and lowers, and trace that onto here on each side in the same spots, and add those first sets of links and see where I can mount up the shocks. And then I should be able to duplicate it, but a little bit longer in the back to accommodate the extra axle. We are a long way to the finish, but there is the first axle mounted up. And look at the length of that chassis. Here's how I mounted everything. Had to add some spacers here and there. And on these shocks, I may end up moving them to the outside of this and kind of coming in. We'll see how things work out. There's going to have to be a bit of redesigning, but that's the rough way to go right there. So I will add the second axle and just keep moving my way back. What a beast. Look at that, 2 axles on, and it is now supporting itself with just 2 axles. This thing is such a monster. I did have to move the shocks to the outside for the second axle, and I'm probably going to do it to the front too. I just haven't got to that yet. And everything's bolting up and looking cool. I have the biggest Danchee Ridge Rock ever. Alright, let's see if we can get some of them rear axles on. So I've got to wait till I make it to the hardware store to get some more aluminum so I can attach the rear axles. But since I'm trying to get this thing done and working with what I already had here, I took the turtle van and stripped it all down. I mean, I stripped it all down. And what I'm thinking is, originally, this is the front. But I think I'm going to have it in the back for a kind of an extra man door and a crew entrance. And then I'm going to cut the rectangle out in the front and kind of put the grids in the front. And that way I'll have this open door. I may take like a railing and run it down the side back through the bed. And I'm thinking about leaving this open so you can see the driver. But just kind of a mock-up of what's going on. Well, here we are. I got my pieces of aluminum. I actually still have it locked down in the vise over here. And I cut off all my tabs and did my measurements. And my dad had a spare 2 tires, so that worked. We have all 5 axles, 10 tires, 5 servos. And man, it is a beast. 3 foot 2 inches overall length at the moment. And I'm going to have to be doing a lot of bracing. It's going to need a lot of extra bracing through here because of the length. There's going to be a lot of chassis twist and warp. And I have to switch out all these cheap servo savers and servos over to the better like 20 kilogram servos with metal arms. So, because this thing's going to be a tracking nightmare anyway. I don't need the extra hassle of servo savers giving it even more play. And then, well, I suppose on the next video I'll be trying to get 5 motors and 5 servos to play together nicely and hopefully get this thing moving. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Pretty excited about this project. I've had this in my mind for about 6 months now. Catch you on the next one. Later, guys.